Welcome to the ST2K show, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the SNES's release in North America. This is Ronmower, along with Starsoldier, The Wiiguy, and Biophoenix. And I lied, they're not here, so it's just me, and...
No, we're here. Everyone's here.
Yo,
Woo.
how's it going?
Yep, Biophoenix here.
Quit coughing me, man.
Yeah. And so, yeah. This show is actually a few days late because of schedule conflicts, and Jman couldn't be here live, but we really wanted to be in this podcast, but because of work, he could not. So it is just us four right now. And we are going to be talking about the 25-year ECW history of the SNES. August 23rd is when it was released in North America. And yeah, I remember first seeing it on commercial. And when the first thing I saw was Mario World. And I was like, because me and my friends were watching it, and I was like, whoa, guys, look. That has to be Super Mario Brothers 4. And I seen the giant bullet bill and the graphics, and I'm like, whoa, Mario 4 looks awesome. And then it showed the whole system, Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm like, whoa. Like, my mind blew, whoa. And I wanted it so bad. I didn't really get it, though, I didn't get my own SNES until 3 years later. But I got to play it from a friend or go to his house and play it. And, yeah, so obviously one of the first games I played was Super Mario World. And, man, that commercial just blew me away. It was funny because I really thought it was Super Mario Brothers 4. I did not know anything about it. I never heard of a Super Nintendo coming out. And, back then, I did not quite subscribe to Nintendo Power yet. And back then, the internet barely just really started in 1991. And so there was really no websites or anything to look up online at the time, like we have today, obviously. So there was no way I could really find out about the Super Nintendo. So I found out about a commercial, and that was a freaking awesome surprise. And now that I'm talking about it, I want to actually look it up on YouTube to see if I can find that same commercial where it shows Super Mario World and debuting the Super Nintendo. And what were your guys' first impressions when you found out? And how did you find out that there was going to be a Super Nintendo? Starsoldier?
I found out through a magazine called Electronic Game Monthly. I used to love that magazine. Now I hate it, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to preview a whole bunch of the 16-bit systems, the Mega Drive, PC Engine, and the Super Famicom. That's what their names were in Japan, and it was interesting to see what Japan was getting, even though the systems were new over there. It was kind of a preview of what was going to be released over here as well. It was just interesting to see what all these systems were going to look like, how they were going to improve on what was out there with the original Nintendo. Like, I love the original Nintendo. You know, it could do no wrong, but I guess by that time it was really showing its age. The color palette was looking pretty weak. The sprites were looking kind of small. And it just wasn't living up to what was in the arcades at the time. So the Super Nintendo was definitely a breath of fresh air. And the Mode 7 graphics were definitely a step up from anything I ever seen before. I don't know about everybody else out there.
Oh, yeah, Mode 7 was awesome. Seeing it in Pilot Wings and in F-Zero, man, that was freaking awesome. That's an awesome addition to the, I say addition, it was a part of it from the beginning, but you know what I mean, something different. That was a new awesome feature of the SNES.
Yeah, we got 3D gaming finally.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and I remember the NES, as awesome as it was, yeah, it was pretty much kind of winding down a little bit. And so, yeah, and then Super Nintendo came out, and plus, you know, they had to because Genesis came out first. And the Genesis was, you know, superior to the NES. You can't do this on Nintendo, Genesis does. And so Nintendo's like, oh yeah, well here's the Super Nintendo. Now what's up? 32,000 colors, a much better color palette, better sound because the Sony sound chip. And we all know what became of what was that controversy that happened where Sony and Nintendo had a falling out, and so that's why the PS1 came out, and something like that. You guys remember?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Sony had all the rights to the original Nintendo PlayStation, so if they made any games for the PlayStation, all the profits would go to Sony. And Nintendo realized, all right, this is a very good deal for us, so we're going to opt out and go with Philips instead, which was a huge
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah. I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos. Oh, gee. Yeah. And so yeah, what do you say, WiiGuy?
The Super Nintendo, well, I mean, it obviously came out, before I was born. 93 was when I was, came into this world, and 91 was the release of Super Nintendo, but I believe my parents got it for my older sister, because by the time I remember consciousness, I remember we had a Super Nintendo and an N64, but I still had a lot of great memories of just the Super Nintendo itself. We had the Donkey Kong Country games, Super Mario World, not Link Between Worlds, A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
We had the Super Scope, which is a huge nostalgic peripheral of mine, something I remember, and I love wholeheartedly. It is Super Scope 6, Yoshi's Safari Battle Clash, and of course my favorite, Metal Combat Falcon's Revenge. All just great games I remember playing back then, and of course the Metal Combat was really super cool for the fact that it is the only Super Nintendo game to use a chip called the OBC-1, which just helped with like the use of like, of course, if you remember anything of like Metal Combat when I LP that on here on ST2K a long time ago, you could shoot like multiple parts of the STs, the standing tanks, and that's part of what the chip helped. It like recognize what parts you're shooting specifically. It was a cool sprite, I believe, manipulator. It was very very cool, but yeah, and of course to this day, Super Nintendo is I love it. It's not I'm not super huge. I'm kind of like Starsoldier with being like, oh, I love the NES, and of course I wasn't nowhere close growing up with that. But as far as just looking at it and what I love for it, how much I love it, it's great. And it houses one of my most favorite underrated games that nobody likes, Jim Power: The Lost Dimension.
Yeah, Jim Powers. That
It's okay.
Yeah, Jim Powers, the wrestling jobber.
Yeah, that is funny. I didn't know Jim Power was a wrestling guy, but that is a game. Jim Powers, I believe it's plural. Maybe it's just regular Jim Power, but either way, yeah, a game that is too brutally difficult to most. For me, I'm like, well, come on, you guys can just take some time and learn it. But also the graphics are super like intense and like freaking stimulus, man. But
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so in Mortal Kombat Red Falcon's Revenge, you fought ST2Ks?
That's gonna be the ROM hack coming out soon.
Yeah, right. No, but then it'll get taken down by Nintendo real quick, so yeah.
Oh, they don't care about that. You kidding me?
Oh, shoot, yes they do. Have you heard about it? They took down the Metroid fan game, and the Nintendo
No, they
Power.
don't care about that. You kidding me? Battle Clash Metal Combat, that IP's been... There's been no new titles ever since then. It's been a 23-year gap. And
Yeah, but
they only
copyrights,
care about their big titles.
copyrights last 75 years.
Yeah, but there's no claims for those from them. They care about their big IPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care about Earthbound. So anything Earthbound you can post.
Don't
Gotcha.
care, bro. Yeah. What's the shocker? Is Earthbound one of the greatest games ever released?
It's a whole classic on the Super Nintendo. It's a pretty dang good RPG.
I've never played it, but I've heard so much about it. I never heard anybody say anything bad about it. And when I seen it on shelves,
You're not the only one who hasn't played it.
When I saw it on shelves, it came in a big box, like it comes with something else or something. And I've never played it. I played as Ness on Smash Brothers Melee. That's it. But I've never played it. And by the way, I've been watching our old Chrono Trigger, or my old Chrono Trigger ST2K LPs that Bear actually recorded, not me, for the most part. There was a talk about you saying, "All LP Earthbound, I'll do it, dang it." And someone in the comment section said something about, "Yeah, come on, I dare you to do it." And that was in 2011.
Well, maybe I can stream it someday now that I do that.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see. Biophoenix, what do you got to say about your experiences with the SNES?
Okay, so just like WiiGuy, I was also born after when it came out. In fact, we're actually the same age, but you're probably older than me because I'm born in December. But anyways, so pretty much I first heard about the system when my cousin had one. I don't remember when he got his, but I know like after when like the N64 came out, he got that, but then he ended up giving away his Super Nintendo to us, and well, that's probably one of the best gifts ever. So pretty much, like all like the stuff that we had for it, we had like Donkey Kong, we had Super Mario All Stars World, and then of course there's also like Zelda and some random ass hockey game, of course. So yeah, I mostly played a lot of those. In fact, I remember one summer we all we used to do in that entire summer was go swimming and then play Zelda. And yeah, that was just a hell of a lot of fun. I just loved like the entire adventure through that game. And of course, like playing through Donkey Kong Country was also pretty mind blowing at the time, considering how great the graphics and the music were. So yeah, I was pretty much late to the party when it came to playing Super Nintendo, considering I played it when like the N64 was out. But I still really like it a lot. It's still one of my favorite systems. Of course I still play a lot of games for it. So yeah, there's always a lot of good things to discover on that system, which I really like because the library is also pretty huge. So yeah, just some really good epic shit.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I had so much fun with the Link to the Past. I first played it. I didn't play it though until like '95, and yeah, so I played that a lot. And I mean, I Link to the Past. Well, it's definitely my second favorite Zelda game. Number one favorite being Ocarina of Time. And so yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the commercial for Link to the Past. Actually, I don't know if it's an actual commercial. It was another Super Nintendo commercial. I think it was. And one of the games they showed was A Link to the Past, and I was like, "Whoa, Zelda on the Super Nintendo on the Super Nintendo? Wow, that's freaking epic!" And so, yeah, obviously that was very ECW. Uh, and I remember in fourth grade, my friend was talking about, I think it's for Christmas. My friend was talking about, "Oh yeah, man, I got a Super Nintendo this Christmas," and man, I was sitting there being so jealous. I said, "Man, because my family, I live with my mom. My dad every once in a while would send me games through the mail. He did send me a Sega Genesis through the mail, but it didn't come with a game. That was disappointing. And so I didn't come. I wasn't with a family that got all the cool games around the time they came out. I had to wait a long time, or rent them, or borrow them from somebody.
Oh
So
yeah.
a game system was harder to come by at the time. I mean, it took me. I didn't get the Genesis till '93, SNES until '94. I mean, I was very late to the party because I couldn't. I didn't. My mom didn't work, so and obviously I didn't work because I was I was a kid. So I kind of had to wait maybe once every blue moon, just for a regular game to be given to me as a birthday or a Christmas present. So to get a system, well, that costs a lot more. So my dad or uncle, whoever, they're not going to really feel like spending that much money. Except my dad did that time for the Sega Genesis, and that was rare. Um, so yeah, I mean the Super Nintendo. The only way I had to play it at the time was go to a friend's house or borrow it, and I will get to that story a little bit later on. How there's one time I tried to borrow the SNES, came close to having it, but not quite. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about the launch titles. I think there was five, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Super Mario World, F Zero, Pilot Wings, Sim City, and Gradius 3. Is that right?
Sounds
Yeah, I
about
believe
right.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I
I
never played
think
Gradius 3.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh, that
I
was the
think
launch
Super
title?
Ghouls and Ghosts and Hyperzone were also released at the same time.
Ah, okay. And so Super Mario World, um, definitely freaking ECW. WiiGuy was in the low budget review with me on that. That was Venom's last appearance.
Mm-hmm.
F-Zero, I did do a video on F-Zero a long time ago, but it was part of a series called Shut Up and Play that I did in 2008, where I didn't commentate, I just played and recorded footage. And I kind of didn't like that concept after a while, so I deleted it. Pilot Wings, I definitely enjoy that. Some of my friends didn't like it. I think it's Swindoll. Man, Ronnie, these games suck. Pilot Wings, all you do is fly around. It's stupid. I was like, yeah, but you actually play it. It's actually pretty cool and kind of addicting to, do all these obstacles and the Mode 7 effects. So Pilot Wings is pretty fun to me. And SimCity, I sucked. SimCity, I can't build anything or run anything right. And SimCity, I got pwned in that. I mean, my city would burn down quick, and it was fun to try though. It was cool, but shoot, I didn't get hooked on it for too long because I failed at it, and it kind of lost its appeal to me. And I never played Gradius 3. What do you guys think about these launch titles?
I think they were great because they were very different from what I used to play. Like SimCity would be nearly impossible to do on like original Nintendo because you have so many options to deal with. Like you're creating your own city. Like it may sound boring to people, but it could also be like the coolest thing to actually manage and control your own area. And
Yeah.
I also like that you can do that in ActRaiser too, which was also a first-year Super Nintendo release, where not only were you like slashing monsters and everything, but you were basically a deity or a higher power entity or something, and you get to boss around people.
Yeah, I love that game.
The
We
games
got-
just felt a little bit more cerebral.
Yeah, the Cerebral Assassin.
Yeah.
Points of reference. All right.
Nope.
What do you say, WiiGuy?
I mean, of course, getting to those games when I did. I mean, Super Mario World was like the first. I love that. Gradius 3, classic shooter, continuing the name of Gradius as Konami, did, but not anymore. Rest in peace. SimCity, never played that. Don't really have interest in that that kind of game. Though it is interesting is that SimCity was originally going to be released first on the NES. It's kind of like an Earthbound Zero kind of situation. There is prototype or like footage of like it was coming soon to the NES, SimCity, but then they were like, oh shoot, let's put this on the Super Nintendo. That's gonna be much better, and they didn't.
Yeah.
SimCity, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been cool if they actually released it on both, kind of ported both. But hey, that's what's cool about the history of video games and like prototypes is something like that. And
I wonder.
what do you wonder?
I wonder what if you in F-Zero could create your own track and your own stage and call it SimCity instead of Mute City.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool to add that with because F-Zero was almost like, well, I mean, it's not like a spiritual successor to Mach Rider, but it's kind of the same kind of thing. You're driving a vehicle and going kind of fast. It would have been cool if they did have that. And F-Zero, of course, is once again another classic. And what was the other one? We said Mario, Sim, Gradius, F-Zero, and there was a
Super
fifth one?
Tennis.
Pilot Wings.
Pilot Wings. Yes, Pilot Wings got to that way later, and very
Super
cool.
Tennis.
Definitely one of the shut your mouth. One of the better uses of Mode 7, or the cool first here's our showcase. Here's all the things you can do.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you should live
But
stream.
where were you when you? Where were you when you played Super Tennis?
I don't even have that. I've never played the Super Tennis title.
All right. Well,
Ronmower, your thoughts on Super Tennis?
I never.
I'm sure has a good soundtrack, probably.
I never played it. I never played Super Tennis. I played Super Mario World, and the first time I played that was I had to go over a friend's house and play that for a while. And it's very cool, and at first very challenging. And then the battle with Bowser in the end, it was kind of cool. Yeah, so Super Mario World definitely should be called Super ECW World. And so, oh yeah, you remember the cartoon Super Mario World?
Yeah, the Super Mario Super Show?
Swing your arms from side to side.
No,
Wait, it's the original.
no, not that one. Super
Yeah,
Mario.
there was actually a cartoon of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, actual cartoon of Super Mario World where Yoshi was in there and everything. Super Mario, Super Mario, Super Mario World. That's how the opening title song was. And
No, I think
yeah.
should have based it off the actual title screen music. The dun 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 would have been cooler.
What about Super MacGyver World?
Never played that.
You guys know what I'm talking about at all?
MacGyver, yeah.
Well, YTMD, youthemannowdog.com. I don't know if they're still around, but someone did something where they called it Super MacGyver World, and they put MacGyver's face on Mario's body when he's riding Yoshi on the title screen. And that overhead world song, dun 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 dun. So instead, it goes dun 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 MacGyver, dun 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 MacGyver. And it's freaking funny if you've watched MacGyver and actually get it. The guy screaming is Murdoch, his arch enemy, MacGyver, and it just looking at it, it just sounds stupid. But if you actually watch it and are familiar with MacGyver, you'll probably start laughing at it. And so I edited that in the beginning of the low budget review of Mario World that we did, and as a joke, like, welcome to low budget review Super MacGyver World, and sorry, I meant Super Mario World. So that was pretty funny to watch, and that came out like 10 years ago, I think. All right, so yeah, and maybe I'll put the link in the description box if I remember. Or just go to Low Budget Reviews Super Mario World Part 1, shameless plug, and check it out. All right, so on to my story about when I first tried to borrow the SNES. This kid I went to school with, he was going to let me borrow it. He was on his way to my apartment because a friend of mine, he didn't really know which apartment I lived in. And my friend was like, yeah, I know where Ronnie lives. I'll take you. So he was about to come over, but my friend's mom stopped him and told him, no, I'll come back here, because he was afraid, his mom was afraid that he could have been a kid about to beat me up or something. So because of that, I couldn't freaking borrow the Super Nintendo, and he had Street Fighter 2 Turbo with it. And I was like, man, why did she have to open her freaking mouth? He's not going to beat me up. He's a friend of mine. Ah, jeez, it made me so mad. It was so hard for me to get a Super Nintendo back then, even to borrow it. And I did borrow it one, or I misunderstood another friend who I thought said I can go over there and pick it up. So I knocked on his door, and his mom answered, yeah, Donnie said I can borrow his Super Nintendo. And, oh, okay. So I went in there and picked it up. And then maybe 30 minutes later, or right before I even had the chance to really play it that much, I get a knock on the door, and I think he came in there, and he said, oh, yeah, sorry, no, man, that's a misunderstanding. I can't let you borrow it, man. My friend would get mad. That's his SNES. So we had to take it back. And again, I got cheated out of trying to play the Super freaking Nintendo. And it's like the system's trying to elude me for a long time. Why can't I really have a decent time to freaking play it? I want it so bad. And there's that same friend the other friend that tried to bring the system to me to borrow. I tried to go over his apartment complex, but he lived in a bad apartment complex. There was, like, I guess, a lot of bad stuff going on over there, whether it's drug dealing or violence. I don't know. It's changed today. It's a different name today. But back then it was bad. And my friend's mom dropped me off over there, and I think he told me the apartment number, but I didn't know exactly where. I think people were staring at me, and I really felt uneasy, and I was so scared. And I chickened out and went back to my mom's friend's car. Never mind, let's go. So again, I could not play the Super Nintendo, and yeah, so that was it seemed like it was so hard for me to get or borrow the SNES. And at the time, being a little kid, I barely had enough money. I rented games all the time, but to rent the system was different, because I think back then, I don't know how much it cost to rent a system back then. I'm on a $40 or $50 to rent for 3 days, and at least in my area, I don't really remember. But yeah, it seemed like it's hard for me to borrow SNES, and the only time I actually got to play it is when the rare time I actually got to go over to certain friends' houses and play it. But then there was another friend of mine who I'm still friends with to this day. He actually lived below me, and so I would go downstairs and play Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior a lot. I would play that a lot. That's when I first developed a crush on Chun-Li, and I think that's what got me to actually liking Asian girls. And so Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior made an impact in my life. And I think it might have been, I think The World Warrior was the first SNES game that I beat. And I was a big Street Fighter fanboy back then. So, yeah, I believe Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior was the first SNES game I beat. And if I remember correctly, after doing some research, The World Warrior was one of the top 3 or top 5 overall selling SNES video games of all time. What do you guys think?
That sounds about
No.
right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so cool to see that game the first time in 1992 because it was nearly arcade perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it just came out a couple years ago in the arcade, and to have it, the first home port on the Super Nintendo was a huge deal. It pretty much made the Super Nintendo fly off the shelves. Like,
Right.
even more so, because Super Mario World was a big deal when it first came out, but it just solidified the Super Nintendo success by having Street Fighter 2 on there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that was the harder of the Street Fighter games because the 4 bosses were much harder than they were on Turbo and Super.
Yeah, they can just take you out with like a couple hits and everything. It was really before they balanced everything out and everything did less damage, so you could actually fight longer. But in the original, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All it took was like a few super moves and you were done for, or they were done for.
Right, and Bison would freaking pwn you.
Yeah, but the
and then-
game gets you unlimited continue, so that was the cool part. You didn't have to put quarters in.
Right. All right, and so finally, in '94, I finally get my own SNES, and with my hard-earned money, because my dad let me work with him where I could make a little cash on the side, and well, I only generated $15 every 2 weeks, but at the time that was something to me. And so I kind of did a little janitorial work with him at his job, and I saved up over the course of 3 or 4 months to finally get my own Super Nintendo. And it was at a Target in Georgia, or Douglasville, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and I had 2 choices. I could choose the one that had Mario World and Mario Kart bundle, or the Mario World and F-Zero bundle pack. That was a tough dilemma. I was in a dilemma. That was a tough choice to make because, man, I love both F-Zero and Mario Kart. But when it came down to it, I had a little bit more fun with Mario Kart, so I chose the Mario World Mario Kart bundle. Now, I think I still have that Super Nintendo to this day. And of course, it's stained yellow, but I still have it. And yeah, I mean, so I chose that one, the Mario Kart and Mario World bundle. Finally, around the spring or summer of '94, I finally got to have my own Super Nintendo. This time, people were coming over to my apartment and asking me to borrow the Super Nintendo and the games. Finally, I'm playing with power, super power. So that was very ECW. Starsoldier, when was the first time you got your Super Nintendo?
I believe it was in 92. Yeah, I think I got it with my own money as well. I think I got my first job at McDonald's or McDougal's or whatever, you know. That crappy place with the golden arches. But anyways, had my own money. The Super Nintendo was only like $200. Said, yeah, why not? I had the TurboGrafx-16 back then, and it was pretty much on the way out. So I need a new system. Everybody was, getting hyped for Super Nintendo, especially with its great library of games. So that was a perfect place for me to move on and get a new system. And yeah, you can't go wrong with that because it was pretty much the most cutting-edge system at the time, especially with its six-button controller. Like, we go by the Street Fighter 2. What made it so great is that you can pull up all the moves no problem because you have pretty much 6 action buttons you can work with, the 2 shoulder buttons, the 4 face buttons. It just felt like a great evolution from AR controller that was out there.
When was your first time you actually owned the SNES?
When I was rekindling my love for it, because we did sell it. The Super Nintendo I have is not the old one we have. The only one is the oldest, or the oldest console I still have from my childhood is my 64. But the Super Nintendo around 2008. This was around when 2007 was like the first year I was like, when I discovered YouTube and was really getting online, and I was like, oh, Let's Plays and all that. And, oh, I remember these old games. Oh, man, I sure did love my Super Nintendo and Super Scope. Let me order those from eBay. And back when eBay was a, great place to find deals on old retro games. And, yeah, 2008 is the year I ordered, or auctioned, won a Super Nintendo complete in box, actually, or got the box with, I think the box it came with, Donkey Kong Country or that kind of deal, because I think it's plastered on the front. Or at least it was advertised heavily on the back. But yeah, it's the current Super Nintendo I have to this day. Almost 10 years, so 8 years ago is when I got it. And of course, also at the same time, ordered my Super Scope back. Or ordered auctioned eBay the Super Scope. There.
Auction? Yeah.
I mean, technically, yeah, it was, that's what it is, an auction. But yeah, I got that and still got those to this day. Rekindled my love, and that was the first real spike of my retro gaming love. But definitely Super Nintendo definitely is, it's got a place in my heart because of remembering, that being the first, I need to get this, I want this console bag that I, don't have anymore. And of course, that was all around Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and that was just coming up the first year I went, and got a bunch of games that I rekindled as well, like Yoshi's Island. I got the Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, which I actually, of course, that's how I played it first. I didn't get, my own Super Mario World card till, 3-4 years ago. But, yeah, it was good. And Star Fox, and, oh, man, just so many good titles of just... And then delved into. And, of course, eventually, Jim Power, up in, 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I moved back to Waco to live with my mom again, I was able to bring the Super Nintendo with me. And so the summer of 94 was definitely the summer of ECW when I got to bring that with me, and I had my own SNES with Mario World, Mario Kart. I think that's all I had at the time. I think my other friends had games, or we rented games like NBA Jam and all that stuff. That was fun to play. We had the 4-player multiplayer adapter. And I think the one I had was actually 5 players. I don't know what game was 5 players for SNES, but NBA Jam and NBA Jam Tournament Edition was 4 players, and that was fun. We took advantage of the 4-player mode. Biophoenix?
Yep.
And that's it.
And that's it. No, sorry. I was going to get your thoughts on when did you first get your Super Nintendo?
Oh, yeah. I know I kind of, explained it, earlier on there, but yeah, it was given to me by, my cousin. But, yeah, it wasn't anything, all that, well, I mean, it was exciting, but, I mean, it wasn't, this big hype thing for it. It's oh my god, I can't, I want to get it kind of thing, but I can't. It wasn't, one of those. That was, with me with, when it came to, the N64. But yeah, though, it was pretty much just given to me, and then, of course, I played all the stuff that I had for it, and eventually I did rent games for it, too, which, I actually was a fool and ended up renting, what was it there, Mario's Missing. God, that game annoyed me.
Yeah. My first Christmas with my SNES, I got, let's see, what did I get? I know, yeah, that's right. I got Super Street Fighter 2. I had played that a lot. I mean, when Super Street Fighter was announced in '93, when I first seen it in Nintendo Power magazine, and I just went crazy and I wanted to play it. I played in the arcade a little bit, or a convenience store arcade, and I was like, I cannot wait for this thing to come out in the home system. And when it came out in the home system, I was able to rent it a lot. Didn't get to own it, but I rented it all the time. Me and my friends played it. Finally, in the Christmas '94. My uncle bought me Super Street Fighter for the Super Nintendo. So that was great. That was a lot of fun. I think that's what my uncle gave me. Now, as far as my grandparents, they bought me. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Mega Man X that year or Super Punch Out. I don't know if this is in chronological order, but I know for Christmas games for SNES, I got Super Punch Out and Mega Man X. That was pretty cool.
Oh, lucky.
Nice.
Yeah, that was very cool. Now, this is a year after Mega Man X came out, but I played it when it sometime after it came out, before Christmas '94. I had to rent it. Now I finally have it and don't have to rent it anymore. And Mega Man X was very anticipated. Venom 22 talked about his story of how bad he wanted Mega Man X and begged his mother to buy him Mega Man X. So that was cool. Did you guys get any cool games? Oh yeah, I think in 95 might have been. No, I'm sorry. Super Punch Out, I forgot when it came out. I think it was Christmas '95.
94.
It did. Okay, but maybe it was '94. But I don't think it probably until '95 when I got Super Punch Out. Maybe. Again, I'm chronologically confused. Whatever. But I know in '96, I kind of had to buy my own Christmas presents because at the time, I think Christmas '96, just things were different. I guess we didn't have Christmas that year. Something, I guess, came up or whatever. So I got my own games and I bought myself, I think it's Christmas '96, I bought myself Super Metroid. I played it before that, but now I get to own it. And '97, I got myself. I think I already had A Link to the Past. I think I got 2 games that year, and I think my grandparents or my uncle bought me A Link to the Past, and I bought myself the Tetris and Dr. Mario combo pack. That was cool, and I played that a lot on Christmas break. So, what are some of you guys? What are some of your Christmas memories regarding the SNES, if you have any?
Yeah, no, for me, I don't. Unfortunately, do not remember consciously getting Super Nintendo games as like presents for a birthday or Christmas. It's just a shame because I would have really liked to have some memories. I know we carelessly threw away the boxes.
Yeah, I was sorry. I was gonna say, I know I forgot you and Biophoenix are real young, so by the time you grew up, you probably didn't really get SNES games for Christmas. You probably got the later games, later
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, so but Star Soldier, I'm sure you probably got some Christmas SNES games.
Yeah, I think I got a few. I got ones like Star Fox. It was cool seeing that one for first time with its super FX chip graphics. Very revolutionary at the time. It looks like crap now, but back then it looked amazing. Not to mention the soundtrack was, one of the best Star Fox soundtracks ever.
Yeah.
And I also remember getting Earthworm Jim. Like, Earthworm Jim is pretty much a forgotten franchise now, but back when I first played it, it was amazing. Like the detail in the backgrounds and everything. It would just been impossible on their systems. Like, I remember even comparing it to the Sega Genesis one, and the Super Nintendo version just looked and sounded so much better.
Yeah. I remember Stunt Race FX also had the FX chip.
Yes.
And I rented that
pretty
for a
underrated
bit.
game.
Yeah.
The controls definitely take some.
It wasn't
some
bad.
People don't like it.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing about it, though, when you first start the game, the initials start out with RLG, which is unless they had a memory in it where it saved the last person that used it. I don't know. But when I first rented it, it said RLG instead of AAA. When it usually starts out AAA, it said RLG, and that's my initials. I'm like, whoa, cool. And actually, I called Nintendo a lot back then. I would call the toll-free number. Hey, I noticed my initials are in the game. How'd that happen? Now, I didn't really think it was my initials, but I was like, I wonder how that happened. Why didn't they put AAA? And he said, I don't know, sir. Probably just the programmer's initials in there, I guess. So that was a cool discovery. What about birthday presents as SNES games? Did you get any of those, Star Soldier?
No, not that I remember.
Yeah, me either, really. uh, yeah, just some Christmas presents here and there is pretty cool. That was starting with '94 because '93 and earlier I had the SNES and Genesis, and then finally '94 the SNES. So that was pretty cool to get those
Yeah,
games for
the thing
Christmas.
is, yeah, video games were pretty expensive, and my parents were kind of cheap too, so I didn't always get like a video game for like not every Christmas and not like every birthday and all that. So, and
Yeah,
at that time, they also knew that I had my own money, so any game that I got, I pretty much got myself. So I
yeah,
was pretty much living on my own by then, even though I was still technically a teenager.
yeah.
So you gotta fend for yourself and get your own games.
Right.
And I just like renting my own games and trying out some underrated classics like Ninja Warriors, Space Megaforce, playing these awesome games that nobody's ever heard of before,
Yeah,
and
Ninja
only now
Warriors is
people are
fun.
playing. I'm sorry?
And
Oh, I said that the Ninja Warriors, that game's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a great game, but the problem is nobody's practically played it except for know, happy console gamer and happy video game nerd. And now the game is like $200 and I can't buy it again.
Yeah.
so other SNES gaming memories I have, we've talked about Super Mario World. Oh yeah, the summer '94, I did get another game that summer. I took advantage of the Super Mario All Stars promotion, where you get the game for free if you send in your proof of purchase. So I did that, and that was pretty cool. Super Mario All Stars, playing 1, 2, and 3, and then Lost Levels. That was my first time playing Lost Levels. Probably a lot of people's first time in America playing Lost Levels. I just finished my LP of that, and it freaking drove me crazy. And I beat the game without cheating and without warping. So that's it was. Oh, that was a major pain. Major pain. Not the movie, but yeah. So the I did beat All Stars. I mean, the Lost Levels when I was a kid without warping. As I said in my OP, I think there was a contest at the time in Nintendo Power Magazine where if you can pull it off and beat the game without warping, you send in proof, and I don't know, they gave you something. I don't think it was nothing special, some sort of watch, probably the Game & Watch. I don't know what the heck it was, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with Super Mario All Stars. What about you guys?
Oh yeah. Well, Super Mario All Stars was, the first way how I first played the original three, and obviously Lost Levels. At the time I didn't even knew exactly what Lost Levels was until later on I found out it was, actually Mario 2, which I thought was actually pretty cool. But and it's funny that you mentioned that contest where you can, if you beat like the entire game without using the warping in it, because I've actually did that, but of course I didn't know there was a contest about it or anything like that. But oh my god, that took me forever, especially beating level 7. Like that level like drove me nuts. Same thing with the last one, of course, but
Oh yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah. My frustrations in my LP. If you go back and watch, well, starting with Power World 5 through 8, that's when things really get challenging. My reactions, those are toned down reactions because like when I was not recording myself or whatever, I was cursing and banging my desk to where I thought I was going to break my desk. I was so pissed. It was so much BS in that game, and oh yeah, man, the Lost Levels is very challenging, and I somehow beat it again some 20 years later. Because I mean, today I'm not that I was so good back then like Jimmy Woods and the Wizard, but I mean back then, at least to me, it seems like when you're a kid, your skills are more sharper, reflexes are faster. I guess you're more focused as a kid and getting these games beat. Today I'm older and lazy, and I'll just cheat. So actually, that was actually an accomplishment for me to beat the Lost Levels on YouTube, but for YouTube, for people to watch on YouTube without cheating. The only cheat, quote unquote, I used was save states. But other than that, no Game Genie, no using someone else's footage from YouTube and editing it in the video. Because if I did that, I would give credit for it. And I actually beat it without cheating. So yeah, Lost Levels will drive you crazy. but Mario All Stars, it was very fun to play. And I did do an LP of Mario All Stars back in 2009. That part was where I did not finish Lost Levels. That was back then where I didn't finish my LPs, and I just said, "Oh, this is as far as I can get. Here's my Let's Discuss." But I also did Mario World on there because I downloaded the ROM that had Mario World included. The actual cartridge I had in '94 did not have Mario World included. It was just 1, 2, 3, and Lost Levels. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they made one that had like, the extra one in there.
yeah, I think that came out probably a year or so later after the original All Stars cartridge.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, 94, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they decided just to include all 5 games in the set.
Yeah. And I remember my friends telling me when it first came out, Mario All Stars sucks. I was like, what? How can you say that? Well, it's just the same games as 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, but it's on the Super Nintendo this time. You get to play it, have a different view of it, play it in a different light. Yeah. And shoot, I enjoyed it. Man, it was
There's
fun.
Yoshi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
the thing
bad.
is, it is recycled content. But the cool thing about it is that it has a save feature, and that's what I love most about it. If you
Yeah.
just want to play a little bit of each game, you could easily just go back to it, shut off, come back, and hey, you're back at World 2 or World 7 or so forth. So that was a huge advantage over the NES cartridges.
Right.
And not to mention, the graphics and sounds were greatly improved as well. So even though it was technically a rehash, it was a great way to go about it. Unlike Ninja Gaiden Trilogy on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean the sound is debatable, especially for that one. Yeah, the Ninja Gaiden Trilogy soundtrack is so inferior. It's like, what did they do?
Yeah, that's weird.
They pretty much did everything about that. Not only was the music awful, but the graphics, I lost some of the parallax drawing. Like the colors looked a little bit nicer, but it just didn't have like the same level of polish. Almost like a downgrade. I think it wasn't like the same Tecmo of the NES era where they really tried their hardest to make a great game. This was the new Tecmo where they tried to see if they can milk as much money as possible out of these old franchises. And it just didn't have that same magic.
Yeah. Well, they should have named it Ninja Gaiden All Stars, and it would have been better.
Or maybe a Ninja Gaiden 4 instead of like killing off the series.
Yeah,
like that's the cool thing about the Super.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, yeah, the cool thing about the Super Nintendo is that it had a lot of continued series that were popular on the original Nintendo, moved to Super Nintendo. So you had Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2, and just so many other great games that got continuation on the Super Nintendo from the original Nintendo, I should say.
Yeah.
Like you had Gradius 3, which is a great improvement over Gradius and Light Force.
Yeah. And they should have made a sequel for Super Nintendo and called it Ninja Gaiden 4, the Ancient Ship of ECW. Okay. And
yeah, I think we just got a new Ninja Gaiden like on the original Xbox like 15 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. But you know what? It's not Ninja Gaiden. It's Ninja Gaiden because I've seen the movie The Wizard. Ninja Gaiden. Hi. I don't know if anybody other than I know Starsoldier, I'm sure has seen it. Have you guys seen The Wizard?
Yeah, I've seen The Wizard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sucks.
The various scenes.
All right. I mean, AVGN said in this Nintendo Power Magazine episode, remember that sorry movie, The Wizard? I'm thinking, what? The movie's cool. Oh, it was just a big commercial for Mario 3. So what? It was a brilliant marketing idea. And I love the movie. And yeah, I might be seeing it through rose-colored glasses, but I don't care. I thought it was great. You get to see Skip Rogers in action. It was great. I loved it. And I recently bought it off eBay a few weeks ago. So I now have it in my collection. So yeah. Can I love it?
For $100.
Huh?
Bought it for $100, signed by Fred Savage.
No, it was on like $11. No shipping. No shipping fee.
Oh.
No shipping. Yeah, I had to go pick it up.
How'd you get it?
Had to go pick it up. Oh, by the way, someone Down Phoenix from YouTube posted a Facebook status saying, "Man, some people are dumb. Someone ordered my stuff on eBay. I forgot how the status read, but he says something about someone tried to order something from me, and they wrote me special instructions as if I'm going to deliver it to him personally. Like, no, I'm not going to deliver it to you personally. That's what we have UPS and other companies and postal service for. Like, they left a special delivery. Did you see that status,
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I did, and I was like, what?
Like, just leave it by my doorstep and give it to my boss, and he'll get it in the afternoon. And Down Phoenix is like, I'm not going to deliver it to you, dude. I'm going to send it to you, but I'm not going to be the one to actually drop it at your door. Unless he wanted to tell, unless he wanted to, he wanted Down Phoenix to tell UPS or the Postal Service, hey, here's the special instructions, but I think it's like, nah, it's not really his responsibility to do that. I mean, I don't know. That just seemed weird. Well, I'll have to go back and read the status again, but it looked like to me from reading that status that he was telling the guy, hey, when you come and deliver it to me, as if Down Phoenix is going to deliver it to him personally. No, he's not.
What happened if you lived across the world?
Yeah. Right. All right. Another game I really enjoyed a lot on the Super Nintendo. And if you guys have any games you want to mention, please kind of feel free to kind of jump in. And,
All right.
But the next one I want to talk about is NBA Jam, the regular and the tournament edition. And I've never been a huge basketball fan, but I loved freaking NBA Jam. NBA Jam was very epic, especially tournament edition. Me and my friends played that a lot. I mentioned earlier we took advantage of the 4-player multi-tapped thing, and it was very cool. And sometimes we replaced bets with each other. I lost one time, and I had to let my friend borrow the Super Nintendo for 2 weeks. And so it was it was just fun to like place bets with one another, and we would have very close games. And you make that 3-pointer at the buzzer where you barely win, and you're like, and the person that loses, oh man, come on. And all the cheats and hidden characters, Bill Clinton, and all these people you can unlock and play as on those NBA Jam games. I never played in the arcades, just on Super Nintendo. That was freaking easy. It should be ECW Jam. What do you guys think about that game?
Yeah, it was amazing seeing it for the first time at home. You know, the cool digital graphics, having real players in it. You know, having all those special moves that you can't do in real basketball.
Yeah. I like the part where you slam dunk and you break the glass.
Yeah.
And then Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out after that. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Man, that game was so fun. And now Michael Jordan was not in any port, is that right?
No.
And I wondered about that. Was that when he went to go play baseball?
I think, yeah, that was his first retirement. And he actually started his own Super Nintendo game called Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, where it's an action platformer. Not a bad game, but...
Well, I say, oh no, I've never played it, but I never heard much of it. And plus, it makes me think of Shaq Fu, and that's why I said, oh no.
No.
Is it as bad as Shaq Fu?
No.
Okay, good.
It's actually pretty fun. I reviewed it before myself, and it's actually very playable. But the thing is, yeah, you think of Michael Jordan, you want to play a basketball game, and you don't want to do any of this platforming stuff. And that's why it got mixed in with Shaq Fu, because, why is Shaq, famous basketball player, doing a very lousy, mediocre fighting game? It just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, even though the Super Nintendo was highly successful, a few bad apples did manage to sneak through the cracks.
Yeah.
So for every Kirby Superstar and every Mortal Kombat 2, you're going to get a Last Action Hero and a Shaq Fu.
Yeah.
For the boot.
Yeah. Oh, Lethal Weapon for SNES was terrible. Remember that WiiGuy?
Yeah, I played through that recently. I actually beat it. It's quite the challenge of a
Why?
game because I beat Jim Power and I was like, I can beat anything, and I did. It's very interesting. It's a lot more actually. I mean, it's not like deep or anything, but it's like actually no, it is deep in terms of like the levels. Kind of, I mean, probably for words, drag on kind of wild. There's actually a lot of like lengthy levels for the 5 missions that you have in the game. Um, the soundtrack's still stellar as always, but it is definitely something you have to want to, play and learn and beat, which I did. It's all right now. Now looking at it, playing it fully, it's all right. Definitely very flawed in a lot of areas, but it's at least beatable, especially if you choose the easy difficulty, which gives you a lot more options if you game over
Yeah, I hated
or
it.
for continues.
I did the Let's Check Out of it in 2013. You were in that video with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 2 or 3 parts I did. And we also did Starsoldier 2. We did Let's Check Out of Lethal Weapon for the NES. That one's actually better than the soundtrack. David Wise or whoever did it was pretty good.
Neil Baldwin.
Neil Baldwin. Yeah, that's right. We talked about it. I said Alec Baldwin. You go, no, we just talked about that before we recorded. It's not Alec Baldwin. It's Neil Baldwin. So,
I think you're exaggerating.
yeah.
But I did was like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. No, you did say that because we were talking about before we recorded. Before we said 3, 2, 1, play. And I said, Alec Baldwin. You go, no, we just did this. You can go back and listen to it. It's still on there. Part 1, shameless plug, of Let's Check Out Lethal Weapon. And, but yeah, back to NBA Jam. The hidden characters like Air Dog, who I don't know if he was a programmer or something, like a little kid. I played as Air Dog a lot on Super Nintendo, and I kicked butt with him. I think you also play as Bill Clinton. Other people, I don't know who they are. I think they're also programmers for Midway. I didn't play the Genesis version. Starsoldier, do you remember any of the celebrities that were in the NBA Jam games, or was it just Bill Clinton? I thought there might have been some more people.
I know this Robin. Oh wait, he was actually a basketball player. No, I don't remember any of the other celebrities.
I remember Hulk Hogan was on the Game Boy. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Mortal Kombat, the first one, another Midway game. The first one for SNES.
Oh,
not that good. I still liked it, but of course it pales in comparison to the Genesis port, which had blood and all the cool fatalities. Of course, Nintendo having their censorship at the time, they did not want to allow blood or any gore on Mortal Kombat for SNES, so the sales were very low on the SNES, and the ones on Genesis totally pwned the sales on the SNES. The sales of the Genesis version, because Mortal Kombat 1 on Genesis had the blood code, the Dullard code, and all that stuff. And but I still enjoyed Mortal Kombat for SNES a little bit. Sub-Zero did have the cool, no pun intended, finishing move where he freezes you and then hits you with his fist and you crumble. And so, yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. What did you guys think about Mortal Kombat for SNES?
I remember I actually rented that game, and I really liked it, like, even though, like, obviously it is, like, inferior to, like, all, like, the other versions of it there, at least, like, gameplay-wise, and, the fact that it doesn't have, like, the blood or anything like that. But I mainly liked it there because I thought that the graphics and the music in it were like, still, like, very, very top-notch, and I still had a lot of fun with it, even though, like, Goro was, like, really freaking annoying. Hell, even the endurance challenges in that game were also really freaking hard as well. Because it was like 2-on-1, which is like totally like not fair.
Yeah. And did you guys ever beat the diamond bonus part?
No.
The test your might bonus, or whatever it's called, test your might. I think the farthest I got was I might have broke the diamond. I'm not sure, but that was very hard. No pun intended.
Yeah, no, that I could never do that part.
Yeah, but was Mortal Kombat for SNES a diamond in the rough? Starsoldier, what do you think?
No.
I think Game Genie, you can put up blood. I was going to say, Game Genie, I think there's a way
to change the sweat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You
to a
the sweat.
slight reddish gray. It
Yeah, and
still
I
looked
thought,
pretty
man,
bad.
that's stupid. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that
go
was
with
bad.
Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 1 should be afterthought.
Definitely. We guy.
I never played the first Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay.
Lucky.
Well, let's move on to two. Let's move on to Mortal Kombat 2 because that was that's probably the best port of Mortal Kombat 2. Um, Nintendo allowed blood and gore this time because they learned their lesson from the first one. And I had Nintendo Power issue where they showed all the fatalities and the secret cheat codes and all that stuff. Mortal Kombat 2 for SNES. I did play that also around the summer or fall of '94. And man, oh, it's just so freaking epic. This time you get more than one finishing move. It did kind of get stupid with the friendship and babality and all that stuff. But I mean, the fatalities was pretty cool. Man, that was ECW. Mortal Kombat 2. And then Shao Kahn is the boss this time. And he talks trash while whooping you. And I do wish they would have kept Sonya and Kano in part 2. But oh well. It was cool to play as Reptile this time, and other new characters. The Undertaker, I mean Kung Lao. Man, very very good stuff. What do you guys think of ECW Combat 2 for SNES?
Yeah, it's a great sequel. A lot more characters, a lot more moves. I actually like the friendships now because it was kind of a great way to poke fun at Nintendo's original version of Mortal Kombat because you got the more friendlier versions of the finishing moves. Hey,
Yeah,
if you
didn't they do
can't
that?
beat them, give them a rainbow.
Yeah, didn't they do that as kind of like to make fun of the rating system and the censorship and the controversy that Senator Lieberman and all these other people were complaining about?
Yeah, because it was, the original Mortal Kombat created the whole ESBR rating system, and it pretty much forced the U.S. government to take action on violent video games because there was nothing really in place before. And it kind of started a revolution, for good or for worse.
Yeah,
Because, if there's going to be like a school shooting or something, or, there's going to be some violence in the news, of course, parents are actually going to take any real action. Let's play inanimate object or a movie or a game and take our frustrations out on that.
yeah. There's a channel. I think it's called Console Wars. Have you heard of it?
Heard of it, yep.
I seen their episode of when they're comparing Mortal Kombat. I think it's Mortal Kombat 1. They were comparing the SNES and Genesis ports. Is that right?
Yep.
Well, I forgot, but it
Yeah,
was a
and
good
the
episode.
Super Nintendo pretty much got killed.
Yeah,
At
right,
least in
really.
Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah. And so yeah, Mortal Kombat 2, man, it's just very fun to play that. And remember Reptile's finishing move where he uses his lizard tongue and then takes your head off and it turns invisible and they cut you in half. One thing that was weird though, with Johnny Cage, you can knock someone's head off 3 times, but it's like, how you gonna knock their head off again if it's already knocked off? But whatever. Biophoenix, what do you think about MK2 on SNES?
An improvement. I haven't played much of that one either, but I mean, I definitely have more involvement with the third one. But if you're about to get to that, then that's all I have to say about number 2.
An improvement, not home improvement for Super Nintendo, but we probably won't talk about that. Biophoenix?
Yeah, I played a bit of the second one, and yeah, like it is like a really good improvement on the first one, obviously, and not just because of like the fact that there's blood in it now, but also like there's more characters and just more stuff that you can do like within the fighting, and some very interesting set pieces as well, which I also really liked.
Yeah, and I did say the friendship thing was kind of stupid, but I mean, some of it was funny. Some of it was kind of funny, and Shao Kahn's like, friendship, like really? What is this? And oh, the Kintaro, yeah, Goro's father Kintaro. Man, the Outworld version of Big Van Vader from WCW. Man, Kintaro was freaking like kind of Brock Lesnar of the video game world, like just a beast. Or he was a beast, literally. But man, Kintaro was hard to beat. I mean, man, and he was a freaking beast. He was a monster, a killer. He makes Goro look average.
Yeah,
So
fuck.
yeah, Kintaro was very intimidating. Um, but yeah, speaking of Mortal Kombat 3, I definitely got that in '95. October '95, I believe, is when it came out. That's when I first got it. Close around there on time, October '95. Me and Swindoll played a lot. I think other friends too. And I thought I was cool because I was the only kid in my apartment complex that had the game so far. And I had the magazine, Nintendo Power, whoever it was, secret codes. In junior high class, we were passing codes to each other. Dude, I got the Scott Stuff code. Here it is right here. ABAC or whatever the code was. We did a low budget review of it. We got, you remember me, you, Jman, Starsoldier, I think was in it too. Low budget reviews of Mortal Kombat 3 for SNES. Yeah, I put in all the codes: Scott Stuff, Killer Stuff, whatever stuff, ECW stuff. Yeah, man. Then you get to see all the great cheats and things you can do in the one button fatalities. You didn't have to know the command anymore. You could put in the code to do one button fatalities. That was pretty cool. I think Y was fatality number 1, B was fatality number 2, X was animality, and A was friendship. And animality, that's a new feature in Mortal Kombat. That was kind of dumb though, because the animals or beasts that you would transform into were like very, they were too colorful. They didn't look like they were a legit animal or whatever. It just looked too cartoony. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, it did look kind of stupid because they were all one solid color. Like one would be like a bright orange or a bright yellow, and they just had this weird glow to it, and they didn't look like animals.
Yeah.
They looked like neon signs, really.
Yeah. And animality, you know, and you go, and when you do the animality, it goes, wow, animality. Like Sable's music was about to play. And so, yeah, animality was not very ECW. I did not like that. I prefer the friendship. Now, Babality was kind of funny when it first happened, but then they put it in part 3 also. And it's like, okay, Babality is kind of stupid. All you do is just see these people as babies. Ooh, that big deal. That's stupid. So, Mortal Kombat 3, in my opinion, was not as great as Mortal Kombat 2, but it was still fun. The cheats are very cool. So, I enjoyed Mortal Kombat 3. I really did. The one fatality that was crazy was the Armageddon fatality where smoke blew up the earth. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah, that was very cool. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Mortal Kombat 3?
Well, as I said, I have a little bit of experience because when I was picking up emulation with like Super Nintendo games, I got actually Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and that was when they included characters from the previous game because Mortal Kombat 3 was all new characters. Like they introduced a bunch of new characters, and that's what they got upset by that. They were like, oh, "Where's my Liu Kang and Johnny Cage?" And then Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was like, "Okay, we'll bring them all back." So it was like the best of both worlds. So yeah, and it was pretty good. Pretty fun, you know, and you got everything and all the characters and the stages, and I just enjoyed it. I thought it was the definitely the best version of Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, MK3 though has some dumb characters. Striker, freaking Big Boss Man wannabe, he was terrible. Even though his friendship was kind of funny, he was a crossing guard. And I can't think of any other characters off the top of my head that was stupid. I know there was some more. Nightwolf was kind of eh. I just remember Striker being dumb. I'm like, yeah, Striker's not doing it for me. Sindel was pretty cool. Motaro was not as cool as Kintaro. Kintaro would pwn Motaro. And of course, you got to play as Shao Kahn this time. If you, I think, unlock a cheat or whatever, you can play as Shao Kahn. That was pretty cool. You know how on the character select screen where in the middle, like it'll open up and it'll show Motaro's face, and then it'll close and then open up again, and this time it shows Shao Kahn's face. Like you gotta wait for it to open for you to select one of those characters. Well, I did a random select one time. You hit up and start to do the random select, and the cursor landed on both cursors, player 1 and player 2, both landed on Shao Kahn. And you're not supposed to really be able to do that. You can't, if one person has Shao Kahn highlighted, player 2, I think, could not highlight also, unless that person takes their player 1 cursor off of Shao Kahn, then you can move your cursor on there. And so I think the same thing with Motaro happened by accident. I would do a lot of random selects for 2-player because I would practice my fatalities and stuff a lot. And they both would coincidentally land on Shao Kahn. So you have Shao Kahn versus Shao Kahn. Except it didn't actually happen because it's both 2-players, and I was, by myself just trying to practice fatalities and stuff. Even though Shao Kahn, I think Motaro they didn't have fatalities, so I thought was stupid until Ultimate Combat 3 where Motaro took your head off, but it looked very generic. So that was a pretty cool accident that I found out. Let's see. Biophoenix, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, I do. See, I mostly played the original version of Mortal Kombat 3. In fact, I still have it. But one thing, like, as much as I liked it, like, not just only because, like, it has, like, some pretty interesting characters, even though I do find Sub-Zero in that game looks kind of weird because, he doesn't look like a ninja. He just looks like, I don't know, some guy. But one thing I did find weird about the game is that for some reason, like, no matter what difficulty you play it on, like, the first guy you fight is going to be, like, super easy, or at least somewhat easy, but then, like, the next person, like, is, like, good. Like, I don't know, like, what it is there, but they're, like, super, like, cheap for some reason, and then it goes, like, switches, like, back and forth. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you pick it on very easy.
I remember that, too.
Yeah, even if you pick it on very easy, when you win, the next opponent is very hard. And then I think when you lose, that's when the opponent is very easy again.
And then after that, it's like the next one's like super hard, and it's like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I experienced that in my low budget review. I think I had explained that. I noticed that when I was a kid. I was like, this is stupid. I picked very easy. Let it be very easy. So, all right. So we're done talking about the Mortal Kombat series on the SNES. Now it's time to talk about Street Fighter series. We've already talked about Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior. I want to talk about Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This time, you get to play as the bosses. So that was very... a lot of kids were very anticipating that a lot. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And you play as the bosses this time. It's basically the same game, but again, like some different aspects to it. And also, you get to play as the freaking bosses this time. That's the best part of the game. And so I definitely played that a lot with my friends. Me and Swindoll did a low budget review of that back in 2009. I think that was his last appearance in any of my videos, and that was very fun. So Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Oh, man. See, that was a game I was supposed to borrow from that friend of mine that was going to let me borrow the Super Nintendo before my other friend's mother stopped him from doing it. So that was very disappointing. But, man, I loved Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It's very, very epic. What do you guys got to say about it? Nothing. Let's move on to...
It's a game.
Yeah, the thing is, the game is just an expansion path to original Street Fighter, and, a lot of people were excited to play as the bosses, but really that's it. That's the only improvement. A few new moves. It's pretty much just the same game as before, and
yeah,
a lot of people were hoping to get Street Fighter free, and we had to wait like 7 years before that came out on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, Capcom did that a lot. Like Street Fighter 2 this, Street Fighter 2 that. There was also Street Fighter 2 Turbo Revival for the Game Boy Advance, which was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I love Turbo. I didn't care that it was kind of the same game. There was still some different things about it, like the color of the clothes. The music was a little bit different, and all that stuff. So it was a very to me it was freaking awesome. I I love Turbo. Of course, the hyper fighting. That's another major aspect of it. You can fight faster this time. The fighting game is the gameplay is not as slow, and so the game is definitely not as hard. I think they dumbed down the challenge a little bit because the World Warrior is very hard, especially the bosses. We got what do you think?
I've never been too much of a fan of Street Fighter. I've always just been like, good fighting series. It is what it is. You got the recognizable characters, the cool, themes for all the stages, of course, Guile, all that. But it's never really something that struck a chord with me. And all the versions, like pretty much all the same. It's just some, of course, have different, little changes or features that still didn't speak to me or be like, huh. I've always been more of a Mortal Kombat guy. I just preferred more of the brutality and just I always thought the characters were a little better there too, just in design and with how they are. So, sorry to speak negative if anyone wants to take it that way. I just Street Fighter's cool, good, but not really much to say about it.
I used to argue with a friend of mine all the time. He was a Mortal Kombat fanboy, and I was a Street Fighter fanboy. And one of the arguments he gave me was, well, Mortal Kombat is a more darker game. You don't have those colorful ass characters like you do in Street Fighter. I'm like, wait a minute. And Venom 22 said, wait, Mortal Kombat has colorful characters? Sub-Zero's blue, Scorpion's yellow, Melina's purple. What are you talking about? Colorful characters. All characters of color. What? Have color in them? Like, what? That was just a weird argument. And another thing he said was, well, Mortal Kombat Shaolin monks. A Shaolin monk can beat a Street Fighter. Oh, come on, dude. Really? You're just arguing like a fanboy now. You're not using logic to how the gameplay is actually better. To me, the gameplay has always been better in Street Fighter opposed to Mortal Kombat, which I loved Mortal Kombat and its fatalities and gore. That's what Street Fighter didn't have. But the actual gameplay was more fluent, in my opinion, with the controls and stuff in Street Fighter than they ever were in the Mortal Kombat series. Biophoenix, what do you guys say about Street Fighter 2 Turbo?
Yeah, see, I only played the original Street Fighter 2, and so I haven't really touched much upon the add-ons, or well, they're not really add-ons, but I guess they kind of are in a way. But I actually really liked it. I thought it was a really fun fighting game. But I don't know, for some reason, I was more into Mortal Kombat there. But I do agree that that Street Fighter was more. It did feel more fluent, but I don't know. There was just a lot of things about Mortal Kombat that did interest me more. But at the same time, there was still a lot of other things about Street Fighter that Mortal Kombat didn't have that I really liked, because I liked playing as Ken, Ryu, and then they're Chun-Li, and what was another one that I really liked using was Blanca was pretty fun to use too.
Yeah, I was good with Blanca.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I can say about it that hasn't been said before, but it's a really good fighting game, and it still is a pretty big favorite of mine from the Super Nintendo days. But yeah, it's not my number one favorite, but it is definitely really freaking good.
Yeah, and so another complaint someone had was, well, Ryu and Ken are pretty much the same character or person, not person, but they have the same moves and stuff, which is true, except Ryu's the stronger one and Ken's the faster one. So I can see where people thought that was stupid, but again, it didn't bother me when I was a kid because the game was so awesome. I didn't really care. The flaws did not really resonate with me or bother me. I just appreciated it for what it was. Super Street Fighter 2, we talked about that a little bit earlier. That was definitely fun. It's much better than the Genesis version. It's much better sound, at least. One thing I found confusing about Super Nintendo was they took out the announcer's voice. Well, that's probably for the best. Not the announcer's voice, but on the screen where it says round 1 fight. They don't even say that on there. And I thought, why'd they take that part out? Probably because for whatever reason, at least Street Fighter 2 Turbo had a manly announcer. The voice of Super Street Fighter sounded like a sissy. Round 1 fight. And Barlarg wins. Not even Balrog. Barlarg wins. Cammy! And Ryu versus Chi-Hawk. The announcer sounded terrible on the SNES version of Street Fighter. I think Genesis didn't even have an announcer, and they probably thought better of it because the announcer sounds like a freaking sissy. In the arcade, too. I don't know what they were thinking. What happened to the manly announcer? Round 1. Fight. Yo, win. Perfect. And it just... What happened to the manly announcer? So that's one thing I really hate about Super Street Fighter. It was the announcer sounded like... Even this magazine, I think it's the Street Fighter Player's Guide, that might have actually said it. That came out from Capcom. They were like, yeah, the announcer... I forgot how they described the announcer, but they said the announcer sounded... They basically said this. He had a sissy voice, pretty much. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Because of Street Fighter, plays some new characters and 16 characters this time. You know, the regular characters, the bosses, and now 4 new characters. Even though I really didn't care too much about T-Hawk, I thought he was lame. What do you guys think about Super Street Fighter?
Again, at that point I was getting kind of sick of Street Fighter. I rented it once, and once I was done through, finishing it a few times, and I already played this, and the new characters are fine, but it just doesn't have enough new content to justify the full price. And that's why I feel like it's an average game. Yeah, that's my feelings on it.
I do have one thing I can say, is that it's definitely way better than fricking Pit Fighter, that's for sure.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Everything's better than Pit Fighter, though. Especially the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, like that version is just so awful.
Yeah. Oh, man. It should be thrown to a pit. It's not as cool as the Pit Mortal Kombat, I'll tell you that.
I love that stage in Mortal Kombat, but yeah, anyways.
Yeah. Super Metroid is another game that's one of my top overall favorites on the SNES. I did an LP of that in 2008 on my channel. And I did a No Death Challenge of it last year. Super Metroid was what I got for Christmas '96, even though I did play it in '94. And man, Super Metroid is definitely awesome. The only Metroid games I ever cared about was Super Metroid and the original. I didn't really get to play Metroid 2 that much, and I never got hooked onto the Metroid Prime series. So Super Metroid is my overall favorite Metroid game, and I freaking love it. The mood music was very cool. When I was a kid, I thought it was opera music because I hear someone go, ah, ah, dun, 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 ah. And I asked Nintendo, so what kind of music is that? Opera music? And he goes, oh no, that's called mood music. It's not really a woman going, oh, it's the music doing that. Oh, okay. It fit the game perfectly. Had a great soundtrack. Not as challenging as the original Metroid, which is good because the original Metroid is freaking hard. It is challenging at first, though, but once you get used to it, Super Metroid is pretty easy. And it just the story to it, and Metroid on Super Nintendo. I remember they really hyped it up back then when it first came out, and I was just reading a lot of it in Nintendo Power magazine, and seeing the commercial for it. They put I think they put this German Shepherd or Pit Bull, whatever it was, inside of this science lab with the Super Metroid game, and then they opened the door and it was a pork chop left over. Like the game pwned the dog because it was so awesome or whatever it was. It sounds stupid, but I thought the commercial was pretty cool. It was emphasizing that Super Metroid was 24 megs, even though Capcom always beat Nintendo to the punch. Street Fighter 2 Turbo was the first 24-bit game on the SNES, and then they would also beat Nintendo again when Super Street Fighter came out, and it was 32 megs, and then Donkey Kong Country was 32 megs after that, I believe. Super Metroid 24 megs. Someone told me, I think the whole game can fit into the whole game of regular Metroid can fit into one section of Super Metroid, which that blew my mind when they told me that. Whoa, that's pretty cool, because Super Metroid's a much bigger game, and just the drama that unfolds when you fight Mother Brain, and Mother Brain kills the Metroid child, whatever it was, and then Samus goes to ECW mode and pwns Mother Brain in the end. just a dramatic experience. Super Metroid. Oh, I can't really think of anything bad to say about it. What do you guys think?
Game could use more or less Samus in the suit. Main criticism.
Yeah.
I mean, too bad there's no Justin Bailey code for that. The only time you got to see her is when she died.
Yeah.
Like in her just her bikini wear. I don't know. I mean, probably gets on that suit. I can understand why you'd wear that. Super Metroid pretty much speaks to one of the core essences or main, titles definitive for the Super Nintendo. It's like Mario, Zelda, Super Metroid, Chrono Trigger, and Mega Man X. It's like the definitives. Donkey Country. It's among one of the greatest games for sure, and of the Super Metroid series, or of the Metroid series, it is. I mean, fantastic. That soundtrack is the most environmentally perfect and atmospherically best probably soundtrack for the Super Nintendo. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then they treated the Samus character with a lot more respect, I felt. You compare it to Metroid Other M, where Samus just didn't feel like the very strong character we just assumed she was in the original Super Metroid. Everything just came together so well in that game. From the controls, from the atmosphere, to the game's length, to the secrets. Super Metroid, many would agree it's almost like a top 10 game of all the consoles practically. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a retelling of the original Metroid, since it's pretty much on the same planet, but it just does everything so well. And why not improve on an already great game?
Right.
And
yeah,
that's what makes it so legendary.
Yeah, even today, Super Metroid is still very playable. It's one of those games you always go back to play. It never gets old. It never ages. You're always going to go back at some point in time, play it again. And Super Metroid is very epic in all aspects, except challenge. I mean, once you get used to it, it's not that hard. But other than that, it's still a great game. You go around exploring cool new power-ups like the speed booster, the power bomb, not wrestling related, the power bomb, super missile, and all that good stuff. So a very epic game. Biophoenix?
That was a game I didn't actually play when I was younger. I think first time I played that one was in maybe 2006 or 2007, somewhere around there. And I really like the game. I think it's fucking awesome. It's just I'm not really good at those types of maze sort of games. Like the later on Castlevania games. I'm not I like them, but I was just never good at them. So yeah, I never actually beat Super Metroid, but from what I played of it, it is a really, really good, well-crafted game, and of course I like the atmosphere and all that. In fact, I find that game is actually kind of creepy at times, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, not a whole lot to say, but it's definitely one of the greatest games on that system, and it's definitely awesome.
Yeah. One thing that really scared me was the appearance of that Metroid when it became Super Metroid, and it's coming after you, and it looks like it's going to kill you, but it doesn't. I've told this story in my LP and other probably other videos too, how when that first happened when I was a kid, and I first played that part, I had to pause the game because my jaw dropped to the floor, and I could not believe what I just saw. I paused the game to where I was looking at the map screen. And now I told myself, "What? No, what? How can I get past this? This is not happening. You can't be serious. There's a freaking big Metroid, because that's the first time you ever seen a Metroid that's that big. It's a Super Metroid." So that was very scary and very intimidating. It's one of the few things in gaming that made me jump, really scared me, or made me pause the game and say, "Nuh-uh, this is not about to happen." That was a very cool moment.
Well, that was a cool part of the game too, because you're fighting some normal enemies. It's a very generic part of the stage, and then it just pops out of nowhere. It's almost like it's the first jump scare I remember in the video game. Everybody
Yeah,
remembers the dog in Resident Evil, but I remember the Super Metroid in Super Metroid first.
yeah, I think that was my first jump scare. The other one, the only other one I can remember was Castlevania 64, the first one where lightning struck that tree in front of you in the Forest of Silence. That scared me and made me jump in my chair. But yeah, Super Metroid, that was, oh man, that was an epic moment. All right, you guys have any games you want to mention?
I got one. Is one game I'm going to mention here is Maximum Carnage. You know, the Spider-Man game, and
Yeah.
that was a game I remember I rented. And you know, like that most video stores, like it would just show like the box cover, and I was like, oh, cool, a Spider-Man game with like Carnage on it, and it looks badass looking. So I rented it, and then as soon as I got home and I took out the case that they provide you with, I realized that it was like a red cartridge. I was like, holy shit, like this is like fucking cool, like you know, like
Yeah.
it's red, because you know that wasn't very often. So of course, like after I play the game and all that kind of stuff, it is a really fun beat 'em up. Now it isn't like the best beat 'em up ever, but I think it is a fairly good one. In fact, I also really like the music in it. You know, it's like green jelly. But yeah, also that game was really freaking hard as well. Like I was never able to beat it back then, but I remember I got really really far, and then like I ran out of lives and all that stuff, and yeah. But yeah, that was one game I actually really did enjoy a lot on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I did. I never played, but I seen it, the cartridge. I thought, whoa, that was pretty cool. It's red, and there's a few SNES games that were a different color. Was there one that was green?
Not that I can think of.
No.
Oh, I'm thinking of 64. I think I
There
know.
was black.
DK 64 was yellow. I think there was
Yellow.
a green 64 game too. I forgot
Oh,
what 64.
I know which one's
Army
green.
Man.
64.
Rayman?
Yeah, Rayman was green. And
Oh.
Army Men.
And Tony Hawk was blue.
Yeah, that's
there's
right.
a few blue ones.
And No
Yeah,
Mercy
but
was
there's only a few Super Nintendo that were multicolored.
Yeah,
yeah
Doom.
64 I think was black. SNES was Killer Instinct was black. That's right.
Yeah, Doom was
Yeah.
red too.
Oh really? Huh.
Yep. Good old Doom ports
Oh,
on
cool.
the Super Nintendo using the Super FX2.
Yeah, I remember.
Get those graphics.
We got. I remember your LP on S2K. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. That's a classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of
Saturday-
any other card on that system that has a different color. I think it's only just those three, I think.
Yeah, I can't think of any on top of my head either.
Super Noah's
Oh.
Ark.
Oh yeah, it's black,
No,
and it's like doesn't even look anything like a Super Nintendo card.
Oh wait, Barbie was pink. No, I don't know. Uh, Another game I want to mention, Starsoldier can relate to this because I don't think WiiguY and Biophoenix care about wrestling. Saturday Night Slam Masters.
Yeah, very good wrestling game. Probably the best wrestling game on Super Nintendo. And yeah, it actually uses one of the new ones that actually uses the multi-tap.
Yeah, and Capcom created that. Some Street Fighter-esque aspects to it. Gunlock is Guile's cousin. Alexander the Greater resembles Big Bang Vader so much. And WiiguY Starsoldier was in my low-budget review of that in 2013. And so that was pretty cool. Let's see. Other wrestling games, again, I think WiiguY and Biophoenix can relate. But the wrestling games on Super Nintendo I really enjoyed. I think there's probably only two. Royal Rumble and Raw. Did you play those, Starsoldier?
Yeah, they're okay. I just didn't like the button mashing gameplay to them.
Yeah, and I did those games on my Road to WrestleMania series this year. I skipped Super WrestleMania. Super WrestleMania was terrible. I believed I did skip that one. I think I did Royal Rumble for Genesis and SNES, and I did Raw for sure. But to me, those are fun because as a wrestling fan, you get to play these characters that you like: Diesel, Hulk Hogan, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, and all that stuff. Bret the Hitman Hart, and it's pretty cool. And we mentioned Donkey Kong Country earlier. Let's talk about all three of those games. And right now, as you guys know, I'm trying to finish up Donkey Kong Country 3 on the ST2K channel. And that's been a little delayed, so I apologize for that. But yeah, definitely a lot of fun with Donkey Kong Country. Jman did the LP on S2K in 2009. WiiGuy did part 2 in, I think, 2010. And then I'm doing part 3 right now. So, yeah, Donkey Kong Country. I mean, what can we say about that that hasn't been said? All three of them are freaking awesome. Which one is your favorite of the three? Starsoldier?
Donkey Kong Country 2. Because it felt so much faster when you got to play as Diddy Kong and Diddy Kong. They were a perfect team. You know, two quick little monkeys. It really sped up from the original Donkey Kong Country. And the actual secrets that you can discover weren't just random. They actually had some more structure to it. You got a lot more things you can find, like the bonus coins and the different worlds you can unlock. The secrets actually felt like you were earning something, and it wasn't just like a way to get extra lives, which is pretty much pointless in the original Donkey Kong Country. In Donkey Kong Country 2, it felt like it had a legitimate point, and you can get a secret ending if you beat the game that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very cool. And WiiGuy's very good with games, but WiiGuy, I think there was a level in the Lost World that was so hard that you just skipped over and moved on. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's because it's funny. I think it's broken when you actually emulate it. Like it's the one with the barrels you have to keep shooting in and out of. I forgot what the level is called, but I think it's one of the. Yeah, it's the only level when you get actually emulated that the barrels get like broken or off time. It's really weird. Which is why that happened, or why for a long time I was like, man, this level is just as hard than I remember. But no, it's just broken when playing in an emulator.
Yeah. What do you say, Biophoenix?
Oh, yeah, I'd have to agree. Like, number 2 is probably my all-time favorite. Like, as much as I like the first one because that was the one I like played the shit out of, but I did play the hell out of 2 as well. But I didn't own it for like a long time. I mostly rented that one. But yeah, no, the one thing I liked about number 2 was not only because like like Diddy and Dixie were like a really good combo together, and the fact that they had to rescue fucking DK was just kind of a weird idea. But hey, whatever. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. And the other thing I really liked about that one too was the island that you were on. Was it had a lot of more interesting set pieces to me. Like I really liked the bramble level, like with like the vines and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really awesome level, especially the music in that level too. And of course, like like there was also like the theme park. There was like the giant beehive, and pirate ships and castles, and all. It pretty much had a very good variety, which I liked. And also that animal level where you had to use all the animals. That level is like ah,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, I
which
remember
level I'm
that.
talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. Vaguely, but yeah, I do remember what you're talking about. Toxic Tower was a pain.
Oh, that one too. Yeah, that one like oh my god, that one drove me nuts too.
Yeah. I had the player's
It was
guide
creative
in
but
there.
very tough.
Yeah, the player's guide said this level eats lives like candy. And it did. Toxic Tower is very rough. You play as that snake. I forgot the snake's name. But yeah, that was very hard. And there was also, I think it's called it was one of the levels where you play a squitter. I don't know if it's called Wispy Woods or something.
Oh,
You got to keep
wetlands.
Web Woods. Yes, Wispy Woods. What the heck? Web Woods. Oh man, that one really drove me crazy. The one where you got to race an evil-looking squawks. I think his name was Screech. You say by the
Yeah.
bell. I don't know. That was kind of hard. And then, of course, the final battle with not Bowser. What's his name? King K. Rool. Uh, Man, that was very hard, especially that gun he has, where it depends on which cloud hits you. It can mess you up, make you move slower, or left is right, right is left, and yeah. So DKC 2 was very challenging. I'm about to say, I think part 2 is also my favorite, but part 3, man, it just there's something about part 3 that I really, really, really enjoy. Um, I noticed that like in part 2, Donkey Kong is kidnapped. Then in part 3, this time Dixie is kidnapped. Oh no, I'm sorry, Diddy is kidnapped. And then I was thinking, so if they made a part 4, would Dixie be kidnapped next? And then Kitty would be the main character, and then the next Kong would be who? Chunky Kong, or I don't know.
If
Yeah,
only.
it seems like in every sequel, the main character is the next one to get kidnapped. Did you see the pattern there? The trend?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, but whatever. It was. I mean, all 3 games are great. All 3 of them are great. And yeah. So we got. Did you say which one was your favorite?
No, but I would say probably partial to 3, just a little bit over 2, because it definitely pushed a lot of things with like the formula, and it was just I really like it.
Yeah. And Swanky Kong is a douchebag, by the way. Anyway, um, so now we talked a bit about Mega Man X earlier. Let's talk about all 3 Mega Man X games for Super Nintendo. What do you guys think about those?
Epic.
Classic, great soundtracks. Capcom out of the park. You did it.
Yeah,
At least with the first one. I really like the second one. Haven't played much of X3.
all 3 are great to me. My favorite one, I prefer X2. It's my favorite. I LP'd all 3 games on ST2K. Yes, definitely. I mean, but Mega Man X though, there's something about that appeals to even non-gamers or casual gamers. Because I've had one person tell me he's not really a gamer. He's played games every once in a while. And he told me, dude, have you played a game called Mega Man X? I was like, yeah, dude, that game freaking rocks. It does. That game is freaking awesome, man. And this guy don't really ever play. He never really played a Mega Man game in his life, but he stumbled upon Mega Man X and he was blown away by it. People that never really played Mega Man X, it seemed like when they see it played or hear or yeah, they see someone else play it, or I guess they heard about it, and then they actually see it in action or play it for themselves. They're like, "Whoa, this game is freaking epic!" Especially the opening stage. It really sets the tone for what the game is going to be. That awesome music, the highway stage, and you fight those 2 giant robot wasps, and then when you kill them, they crash on the bridge, and you fall down the bridge with it. That stuff, that's a pretty cool, intense opening scene right there. And then so Mega Man X really appealed to non-gamers in a way. And then of course you had the awesome X2 and X3, which each game got harder and harder, more power-ups to collect and stuff. So all 3 were great. But I have to say X2 is my favorite. Go ahead. Who just said something? Was it WiiGuy? Or yeah, WiiGuy. You just said something. So do you say which one was your favorite?
I say I probably have to agree with X2. I really like that one. I think 1 is a little overrated a little bit, or if it's probably just from the praise of Aaron Hansen or Egoraptor, who says like Mega Man X is his favorite game, and I mean, sure, fine,
Yeah.
you can feel that way, but I don't see it. I think X2 improved a little bit better.
Yeah. Starsoldier.
I like Mega Man X2 as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretty much just the same game, you find 8 robot masters, steal their weapons, find the weakness, all that sort of stuff. But it just had the right balance of difficulty. It didn't feel like too hard like Mega Man X3, and it didn't feel too easy like Mega Man X1.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I guess there's a happy medium there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Biophoenix?
I mostly played the first one because that's like the only one I actually really own, and not only that, but also I only played like very little of 2, and I only played very little of 3. So I can't say a whole lot on them, but from what I have played of them, like, they're really good, and of course they're really hard, because even at like the original Mega Man games, like I was never good at them, Like, I really enjoyed them, but I actually never, like, beat, like, any of them. The only one I ever actually beat was Mega Man 10, believe it or not. But, yeah, other than, like, that, though, I had never beaten a Mega Man game. But, yeah, like, so X1 was the one that I played, like, the most of, and, well, yeah, I do kind of agree it is a little bit overrated, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know, I just really like it a lot, so... But then again, my favorite Mega Man game would probably have to be like Mega Man 4, but that's just my personal preference. But anyways, though, yeah, Mega Man X1 would probably be my favorite from the one from just those three.
Yeah, I also like Mega Man 4. It's pretty awesome. Um, yeah, but the Maverick names are kind of stupid. X3, you had Toxic Seahorse, uh, Volt Catfish, and Crushed Crawfish. I can't think of any other dumb ones on there. Blast Hornet, that was stupid. Uh, but the soundtrack was pretty cool. Even though Blizzard Buffalo stage sounded like Paul Bear was at a funeral parlor. I remember playing X3 with a friend of mine, and we had the music up a little too loud in his room, and we were in Blizzard Buffalo stage, and his mom walks in the room. Y'all turn that down. It sounds like a funeral parlor in here, and it did. The music sounded. It sounded eerie, like a funeral parlor almost. And it was funny when she said that because she's right. And X2 wire spawns, that was weird. I like the stage, but the name was stupid. Wheel Gator, it's almost like a mixture of Rampage mixed with Mega Man. You're like in a giant dinosaur tank that's rampaging through a city. It was weird. Wheel Gator, I can't think of any other dumb ones. My friend thought Chill Penguin was kind of stupid. But the stage is pretty cool, no pun intended. But regular X though has some awesome Mavericks. Spark Mandrill, Flame Mammoth. When I was a kid, I thought I said Mammoth, so I called him Flame Mammoth. What was that? Oh yeah, Boomer Quanger. That stage music is funny. Me and my friend were playing it, and he goes, man, this music makes me want to work. And I said, yeah, you're right. It's like, it makes you look like you want to take a pickaxe and start chipping away at a rock. The music makes you want to work outdoors. It's pretty funny. That's all I have to say about the Mega Man X series. Any other games? We talked about Mario World. Yoshi's Island was another game I really, really loved. I did that LP in 2014. Yoshi's Island, very kiddie, but very good. Very good game. A good sequel, or it's supposed to be they call it Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, but it's really a prequel because Mario's a baby. And the only bad thing I can say about that game is the Mario crying. A lot of people hate that, and I don't blame them. But Yoshi's Island was a very awesome game, especially the Mode 7 Bowser boss battle in the end. That was very cool. What do you guys think about Yoshi's Island?
It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people love that over like Super Mario World. I would probably agree because it just offered a lot more soundtrack, the variety of stages, and the unique gameplay, collecting all the red coins and the sunflowers. It was all a cool just combination of like collectathon but still keeping the platforming of Mario, but still putting in some like new kind of innovations and like ideas. And yeah, I mean with the graphics, I mean it's the Super FX2 chip, so they really like super stylized it, and it looked, timeless really.
Yeah.
Super like clean and just crisp.
Yeah, definitely. I never beat the game 100%. I think by World 3, somewhere World 3 is where I gave up and trying to get 100% in that game. It was very, very hard to get a score of 100 in all those levels. Oh yeah, Starsoldier?
I liked it.
All right, Biophoenix?
Oh, like there's no more.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on... Oh, okay, yeah, I was going to get your thoughts on that too, Yoshi's Island.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, Yeah, that one, like, that's a game that I've also had at like a really early age. So I played it for many many years ago. But yeah, that one is a really good one. I mean, I like you said, like the one annoying thing was with Mario crying, and it, though in a good way, it kind of gives you an incentive to like not to get hit because you just don't want it to happen. But yeah, but when it does happen, it's like, oh my god, shut up. But
Right.
but yeah, though, like I do like a lot of the level designs, and of course, I do like the fact that like Yoshi can like turn like into different things when you get that what was it? Like you press on like a block or something, and like I know like he can like turn into like a helicopter or
Yeah.
turn into, like a digging thing. Yeah, like I thought that was actually kind of a neat idea, and of course, the last like I find actually all the boss battles in that game were actually very creative and really fun and interesting and of course, the last boss though, that one was freaking like awesome. Especially I love the music in that part. It's like really like Shredder.
Yeah. And I remember Raphael the Raven boss battle. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where you're on that little you're on that ball, whatever it was, and you go around, you go around it, and the screen shifts, screen changes. That was pretty cool to do. Um, yeah, so yeah, that game was very awesome, very very great for its time. I remember playing it in junior high, and I really loved it. Um, that's all the games I can think of off the top of my head. And I guess that's it. I mean, we never really talked about Killer Instinct, did we?
No, we didn't.
I thought the game was okay. To me, I thought the SNES version might have been a little overhyped, but it was still great. The one I really enjoyed was Killer Instinct Gold. That was on 64. The SNES version, I mean, it was okay. I enjoyed Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter better, though.
Yeah, I thought that was a good game, Killer Instinct. Although I didn't play it when I was younger, I played it like way later on. But yeah, I thought it was like a really good fighting game. Like I found like the characters were kind of cool because like you had like a mixture of like human characters and like I don't know like mixtures of, like like you had like a skeleton and like a dinosaur and you had like robots and all that kind of stuff. Like I thought like that was kind of interesting. And of course, it was like very similar to Mortal Kombat because it had like the finishers and had like the stage ones where you can like knock the guy off like the building and fall on top of like that one dude's car. I think it's no, not Jago. Who was the boxer guy in that game?
TJ Combo.
Combo?
Yeah, combo. Yeah, because yeah, when you knock like someone off, they like fall on top of his car, which is just kind of funny. But yeah, it is a really good game. But yeah, I also do kind of agree with you that it's not as my most favorite as compared to Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but it is definitely like a really good one.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Star Soldier, WiiguY. You have any other mentions?
Shout out to the all the amazing soundtracks of the Super Nintendo and the sound chip of the Super Nintendo in general, because that has given birth to so many memorable tunes and just fantastic soundtracks. All the Tim and Jeff Fallen soundtracks like Spider-Man, X-Men, Arcade's Revenge, and Plock. Stuff by Dean Evans, Eek the Cat, Waterworld, Barry Leach with Utopia, one of my favorite soundtracks for the Super Nintendo. And just, man, countless other soundtracks, just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
when
give
you're
a few shout outs to Chrono Trigger, Oreo Woods, Underrated Puzzle Game, Final Fantasy 3, or Final Fantasy 6. And
yeah.
just underrated gems out there. Some games I still had the World Championships on, like Block.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that game, great soundtrack,
Sweet.
great gameplay, very underrated. And it gives you an excuse to pull out the Super Nintendo, pull out some lost gems. You got over 700 games to play for it, so what's not to like? Other than Pit
Yeah.
Fighter.
Other than Pit Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget that.
And Captain
Of course,
Alphalin.
big shouts.
Oh,
Yes,
Captain Melvin's horrible.
No.
Yeah.
Of all of them, big shouts to Jim Power The Lost Dimension, one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. If you like brutal hard difficulty and kind of memorization, that game is up your alley. It
Just
makes
be
it sound like
prepared
a bad
for
thing,
some
but
freaky effects.
yes, triple parallax scrolling, which is in reverse.
Yeah.
It's very, very unique. I like it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit underrated.
I was gonna say, yeah, Chrono Trigger. I'm not even an RPG fan, but that game is freaking awesome.
Ooh, and Super Mario RPG. There.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Bear did that LP on S2K. Yeah, but Chrono Trigger, I really enjoy that. I was gonna say, we guy, when you're done with 8-bit stereo, it'd be 16-bit stereo.
You said this before, but no, there's nothing I can do that would be different or improve on the 16-bit sound of like Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Yeah, not just kidding. So, I can't think of anything on the top of my head as far as like any other.
You didn't mention Super Castlevania, so hopefully, yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I had the last check out of it. I didn't really fully play it for childhood. I somehow missed that one. I missed that my childhood. I missed that one and Dracula's Curse. My childhood, I played Castlevania 1 and 2 and Bloodlines. Is what I really loved my childhood. I didn't really get to play Castlevania 4. What do you guys got to say about that?
Great. My favorite Castlevania game.
Yeah. All right, so I think it's probably time to go ahead and wind things up. So that is the end of our 25th anniversary SNES podcast. 25 years ago, it was released in North America. And yeah, I mean, Super Nintendo, when you first see it, I mean, you're just thinking, wow, a Super Nintendo. I actually called Nintendo one time and said, is there going to be a Super Duper Nintendo next? Or is there going to be a Mega Nintendo? And I think the guy was like, no, probably not. And his mind's probably thinking, you stupid idiot. Stop calling me these dumbass questions. So, yeah, I mean, Super Nintendo. Just the 16-bit wars was very fun because Sega and Nintendo were in competition with each other, and it was very, very cool to experience that and be a part of that. I mean, me and Star Soldier are very lucky to be in the era that we were in, because with me and him both being wrestling and video game fans, we grew up in an era where wrestling companies were in competition with each other and video game companies were in competition with each other. And when there's competition and there's no monopoly, there's I mean, I know that today's still competition. There's Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. But back then, during that time, the console war, especially between Genesis and SNES, that was very cool. It was a very cool time to live and be a part of that. And competition brings out the best in people and the best in their products because they compete with each other. And so, yeah, I mean, the Super Nintendo was very awesome and truly lasted the test of time. And wow, I can't believe it's been 25 years and a lot of awesome stuff. Just like the NES podcast we did last summer, or no, last October rather, or the 30th anniversary of the NES. We had a lot to say on that. And so the SNES, obviously, we had a lot to say on the SNES as well. Great. Even though the SNES got discontinued, in 2001 or maybe sooner than that. I don't remember. Probably sooner than that. I forgot what year it got discontinued, but it's been 25 years of just enjoying the games that did come out. And for guys that are young like you and like WiiguY and Biophoenix, you guys still play the games later on as you got older and got to experience the awesomeness of the SNES. So, yeah, the Super Nintendo was very great, and I just remember how bad I wanted it back then. And after the struggle for a few years, I finally got one, and just awesome ECW moments, countless hours of whether it's one player or four player. It was very fun. So that is all we have to say for the SNES 25th anniversary podcast on the S2K show. I want to thank you guys for joining and you guys listening. Thank you very much for the three of you that are listening. So that is it. We are out of here. I'm Ronmower.
I'm Biophoenix.
TheWiiGuy.
Starsoldier 1, baby. Arizona World Champion.
Oh, yeah. God bless. Take care.
We won't be doing an Atari Jaguar 25th anniversary, just to let you know.
Do the math, man.